Hey everyone, I'm just doing a quick video going through a bunch of commentaries for the book of Revelation that I've slowly collected over the years. These are not the only commentaries on the book of Revelation that I have. I probably have at least between 5 and 10 more than I'm going to show today, but those are all Protestant commentaries that aren't going to be in this video because today I'm only focusing on the Orthodox commentaries. And by Orthodox, I mean they were written by Orthodox Christians who are in communion, good standing with the church. Some of them are saints, some of them aren't saints, some of them are in the gray area between being saints and not saints, declared saints by the church. So there's a wide variety here, and some of them are anonymous. So first one I'm going to show, and I'm going in order from least favorite to my favorites. So first one I'm going to show is the commentary written by Father Lawrence Farley. This is as you can see, it's a very cheap kind of put together photocopy version that someone gave me years ago, and I'm pretty sure it's the same version you can get on Amazon in a nicer, smaller paperback edition. This basically just looks like someone took a PDF and photocopied it. So for those of you who already have this, if you look up Orthodox Revelation commentary on Amazon, this is the first one probably that you'll see. And as you can see, it just goes kind of verse by verse, chapter by chapter, and gives a paragraph of stuff in between. So it's pretty straightforward. That one. I gotta move pretty fast today, so I can't go in depth with all of them because I don't want this video to be super long. And then right here we have early Latin commentaries on the Apocalypse. This is just a collection of 2 commentaries from the middle of the first millennium of the Latin Church. The commentaries are called Handbook to the Apocalypse and On the Mysteries of the Apocalypse. I think the Handbook to the Apocalypse, I haven't gone through these yet, but I think the Handbook to the Apocalypse is basically just taken from a Latin gloss Bible, basically like a primitive version of a study Bible that they had been making in the early Latin Church. And then another one is attributed to, I think, Pseudo Jerome. Pretty sure, don't quote me on that, but I think the Mysteries of the Apocalypse is Pseudo Jerome, and the other one, the Handbook on the Apocalypse, is from that Bible. Hold on. Never mind. Handbook of the Apocalypse is Pseudo Jerome, and the other one is from the gloss of the Bible. So this is a very good little book. I haven't gotten to it yet, but if you're interested in early Latin theology, specifically exegetical stuff, then this is one you should get. And then this one here is much better. It's got a lot more material in it. It has 4 different commentaries from the early Latin Church. As you can see, it's got Victorinus of Petovium, Apringus of Beja, Caesarea of Arles, and Venerable Bede. These first 3 are basically like the intro to Bede, because Bede draws on all 3 of these, among others. These are a lot shorter than Bede. Caesarius is the heaviest. I think this is just a collection of like 20 homilies or something that he preached on the book. He preached sequentially throughout the book. And then Bede just has a straight up verse by verse commentary, and I'm pretty sure that Bede is over half the book. So it's not a very big book. It's about maybe 200 pages. 151, yeah, so about 170, 180 pages. And so here you have Bede's commentary, and it just goes verse by verse like that. And Caesarea of Arles just has homilies on the Apocalypse, and they're all in here. So these are excellent. Highly recommend highly recommend this if you're interested in what early Western saints thought about the apocalypse, and it's got a very beautiful cover. So moving on to the next one, we have this, and this is the commentary on the apocalypse by St. Andrew of Caesarea. This is probably one of the most commonly referenced commentaries on the apocalypse in the Orthodox Church. You can't really talk about the history of apocalyptic interpretation without referring to St. Andrew, because he was kind of a pioneer in terms of Eastern Orthodox exegesis of the apocalypse. There's another guy named Oecumenius who wrote at the same time as St. Andrew, probably I think shortly before him, because St. Andrew refers to Oecumenius's commentary in his commentary here. But they're both around the same time, except I think Oecumenius is a Monophysite. He's a non-Chalcedonian. Andrew of Caesarea is actually Orthodox. I'm planning to get Oecumenius's commentary eventually. I just don't have it yet. I just want it for reference. But so this is what it basically looks like on the inside. It was translated by Presbytera Eugenia Constantinou, and what's really nice is that she has this crazy in-depth introduction to the book. And it's got an outline here. Yeah, the introduction alone is 40 pages, and it's just got all the history and background surrounding the apocalypse and this commentary and St. Andrew of Caesarea and his life. You can't study the apocalypse from an Orthodox perspective without at least reading this. This is basic apocalyptic exegetical reading. So this is very great. This is a very great book, and thank you very much, Presbytera Constantinou, for translating it. So I'm going to move on to the next one. This is a more recent commentary made by Archbishop Averky. He is a Rocor bishop who lived in the 60s, the 70s, and I think that's when he was writing. He was a close colleague of St. John Maximovich, so this commentary carries a lot of weight in that regard. He's a very big heavyweight in the Orthodox Church, and he wrote commentaries on the whole New Testament, and this is volume 3 of his New Testament commentary, which goes from Romans to the Apocalypse. And as you can see, hold on, the Apocalypse is that much of the book. So it's just under half. So this is Romans to Jude, and this is the Apocalypse. The other books he does not give nearly the amount of attention to as he did for the Apocalypse. And I think that's because he thought the Apocalypse was far more important to have a solid exegesis of, first and foremost, because it's the most commonly read book of the Old Testament, or New Testament. It's the first book of the New Testament that most people will read, and it's the last book that they should read first. But so for whatever reason, he decided to go verse by verse, super in-depth for the Apocalypse, and not give nearly as much attention to the epistles. If you go to his commentaries on the Gospels and on the book of Acts, it's much more similar to this. I don't know, I guess he just didn't have enough time to go through the epistles, and his commentary on the epistles are basically just overviews and introductions rather than straight up commentaries. So this is very good. He draws a lot from Andrew of Caesarea, so if you're only going to get one of these, you should probably get Andrew of Caesarea, because this is basically getting a modernized version of Andrew of Caesarea. So yeah, that's a very good one. And there's two more that I want to show. This one is by Daniel Sysoev, Father Daniel Sysoev. He is, I'm sure everyone knows who he is. He's a Russian hieromartyr who was murdered by a Muslim in his church about a decade ago now, or just over a decade, 11 years ago now. And he wrote this little commentary on the apocalypse, and it's way better than I thought it was going to be. It's verse by verse. As you can see here, he has Andrew of Caesarea as a reference. It's verse by verse, and he just goes through the whole book and preaches homilies, I guess, on every single verse. Every single verse of the Bible, of the apocalypse. And I highly recommend this one if you're looking for a good Orthodox commentary on the apocalypse that's, relatively easy to carry and not, ancient, and it's actually talks about the modern world in it and everything. This is a very good edition. I would choose this one over Averky's if I had to make the choice. And now we're going to go to the best one, in my opinion. If you're only going to have one commentary, Orthodox commentary on the book of Revelation, this is the one. This is the one that you should get. Save the best for last. This is Archimandrite Athanasius Mytilanios. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Sorry for butchering it. As you can see, it is huge. This isn't even the whole thing. This is only what's been published so far. It's 4 volumes. There's one more volume. There's a volume 5 coming someday, hopefully. I messaged the publisher and asked if there's a window as to when it's going to come out. And they told me we're praying it'll come out in 2020, but we don't know. So this commentary, oh my, okay. From what they said on the website, the whole thing in its entirety, all 5 volumes, is 104 different homilies or talks that he gave on certain passages in the apocalypse, and he goes through the whole book sequentially and slowly over the course of like 5 years, I think, and it has the dates for each homily. It has the date of when he gave the talk for each verse, each passage in the book of Revelation. And it's so in-depth, so incredible, translated by Constantine Zalalis. For those of you who know who Constantine Zalalis is, you know that means this is a good book. Constantine Zalalis is awesome. And they have these nice icons on the cover. I'll show you all of them yet. But there's a picture of the Archimandrite, very spiritual looking man, very happy looking man. And here's how it's basically structured. Here's the introduction, and he goes verse by verse or passage by passage, and there's all these different talks. So here's the introduction and everything. And so that's a basic example of how these things go. And, just in case somebody is not sure, you don't want to get all 4 volumes. The Apocalypse is my favorite book of the Bible. So I got all 4 volumes just because I want all the information I can get about it. And I will cherish these for years, going through all of these. I'm going to show just what's in all of them, just in case you only want to get 1 volume or maybe 2. So then, let's say you only want to have a commentary on certain chapters, this book does 4, 5, and 6, I think. But let me see. It's got this beautiful image. Just so people know what's in these volumes. So you see volume 2 here goes from chapter 4 to... Oops. That's all there is. All right. Goes from chapter 4 to 8. Volume 2 is chapter 4 to 8. So that means volume 1 is chapter 1 to 4. And this is volume 3. 7 Trumpets and the Antichrist. So volume 3 goes from chapter 8 to chapter 13:18. There we go. And Volume 4 goes from, which is the 7 angels. Volume 4 covers chapters 14 to chapters 14 to 19, chapters 14 to 20 verse 3. So then volume 5 will have chapters 21 and 22 when that comes out, and I will be getting that as well. If you're only going to get one commentary on the Apocalypse, this is the one to get from an Orthodox perspective. This is the best one that I've seen. And I know my buddy Jonathan, who's also into this stuff, he's going to comment and say that I should get his copy of Apostolos Makrakis' commentary, because he loves that one. Apostolos Makrakis is also an Orthodox Christian who wrote commentary on the Apocalypse. It's not as long as this one, but it's longer than all the other ones that I've shown so far. And just, Jonathan, that's in my cart. I'll get that eventually, soon-ish. So that one's on the way. Anyways, this video is over 15 minutes now. That's all of the best commentaries on the Apocalypse. And as you can see, I put tape on all the edge of the paperback, because it drives me nuts when the paperback books get damaged on the corners. So that's what that is. Anyways, yeah, go out and get some of these if you're interested. The Apocalypse says right at the beginning, "Blessed is anyone who reads and understands the words of this book." Well, these will help you to do that. So reading these books will get you that blessing.